Alright, y'all, I gotta know how my man CAIN is doing. Like, how is it possible that we saw him for like the first part of the last episode and then never again? Like, I need to know. Episode 2 of season 3, turning the page of the book. I see a path. Okay. Episode 2, A World Abandoned by God. There's only Sifa Malum now. Is the show room? The unfamiliar immortal was different from Ania, CAIN, and Pylon. There was something unusual about him. He literally was created in a lab. A heavy, empty gaze, a relaxed posture. Everything seemed ordinary except for one small detail. The angel stood halfway turned, never fully facing who he was talking to, indicating their insignificance. Damn! No one said anything about there being another angel at the base. Why is he dressed so oddly? What if he's one of those immortals who kills humans? Not knowing what would happen if I answered affirmatively, I shook my head. No. His gaze swept over the room as if recalling the past. It felt like the room might have been different from the point of view, and in that moment he barely recognized it. There are many new things here. A hole in the wall. In her memories everything was different. Did he even gain the memories of the woman that was... Oh god, if Pylon finds out, goddamn, sir, you are not safe, I'm telling you. So this man was actually created in a lab, I don't know, maybe to be resistant to abominations and to be even more lethal than other immortals as some sort of power weapon. And because they actually extracted knowledge and whatever from Pylon's first and last love, he actually gained her knowledge, her memories, whatever. Oh my god. Who is he talking about? Why does he speak so strangely? Maybe he's referring to Ada, the demon girl who lived in this room before me. She did not look like a demon to me, girl. The angel looked at the hole through which snow was blowing onto the floor. Through it, the neighboring wing of the base was clearly visible. Of all the places, I only recognize this room. It was hers once, wasn't it? He spoke quietly and without emotion, like he was simply thinking aloud. A memory of CAIN surfaced in my mind. The immortals were similar in some ways, beside their white wings. I remembered the sigil I had seen recently, and I instantly began to feel nauseous. Oh my god. The sensation disappeared after a second, but left behind tremors and chills. Fear crept up from deep inside me, sticky buzzing. I couldn't tell exactly what I was afraid of, but the horror paralyzed me and caused agony within my body just from the feeling flashing through me. Oh my god. It was as if somewhere deep inside me, in the darkest corner of my consciousness, there was a locked door hiding something unknown, like in the originals. Something better off never being discovered. The red door. But something unlocked the door, and it cracked open, beginning to release the nightmares it had been holding back. Could those nightmares be the memories that we have been suppressing? The immortal noticed the change and returned his attention to me. You also seem familiar, even though you're just a human. So we know him too. He said something else, but I couldn't hear it over the strong wind. It would be better to ask again. I didn't hear you. The wind is strong here. Wind? The angel looked out the world through the broken wall and closed his eyes, letting the small whirlwinds tussle his hair. Are there other immortals here? At the base? The base? So he's definitely not from Adam. What does he want? Here among humans. Yes, there are others. I stepped closer to the door just in case, calculating how quickly I could disappear into the corridors. An older woman with a child. Those angels, they were supposed to be with me. Huh? His next words were spoken almost in a whisper. Unless the mother killed him herself after what happened. Ah? I hate when I don't know what's wrong. There are no immortals children here, nor an older female angel. Then no. A male demon and 2 angels, a young woman and a man. Why? Are you looking for someone? He looked at me and remained silent for a minute, then he asked, what happened to this world? Why are immortals among you? And why aren't you afraid? Angels and demons descended to earth after the apocalypse. Isn't it the same in heaven? I decided to ignore his second question. I didn't want to know why he had asked. So this is not non-existence after all. How strange. You talk to the immortal. Perhaps the information you obtained will come in handy in the future. I don't know about that. He looked out at the world again. He caught a snowflake in his hand and then turned around, taking a few steps toward me. You stay where you are, because I have no fucking idea who you are. I asked who you are. As he approached, a strand of hair lying across his face shifted, revealing a scar under his eye. Oh my god. Abel, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It was just a joke fight. I didn't mean to hurt you. Now you'll probably have a scar under your eye. Are you really not angry? Is he Abel? Could it be? The thought was spontaneous, uncertain, and too far-fetched. As if I was trying to pass off wishful thinking for reality. The logo on his coat says Siberia, bare torso, medical staff, pants. Where did he get those clothes? Just then the immortal reached out to my face and lightly flicked me on the forehead. Hello? The gears are about to start creaking. Maybe you could try thinking faster. Humans used to think faster. Has it really gotten this bad now? Oh, you little motherfucking Son, rule number 1 in Simona land. You do not insult the queen. You do not insult me, because I will insult you. Like, let me get some abomination toward you. He lowered his gaze, briefly examining my body. Oh, fuck no. Like, smack him. Why do I remember you biting naked? Have I seen you before? Honestly, as much as his attitude is actually asking for a beatdown, I love the fact that he's so fucking honest about everything he's doing. I was stunned. What? The immortal didn't answer. He just waved it off, either at me or his own thoughts. There was something very familiar in his studious, condescending gaze. He moved even closer to me, but suddenly grabbed his head. This feeling again. Grimacing in pain, he staggered back toward the hole. He ran his hands through his hair, trying to collect himself, but he couldn't seem to calm down. What's wrong with him? Forgetting that the floor had collapsed behind him, he took another step back and immediately vanished, falling below. Oh my god. Running to the remaining part of the wall, I grabbed it and looked out. No one was at the base of the building. No traces of blood, no feathers, no immortal. Did he just fly away? But what did he want here? Sounds started coming from the radio in my backpack. Taking it out, I listened. We're on the basement floor in the abandoned wing. We passed a lapse and came across something strange. It seems like someone was here recently. There's a room behind one of the doors, but it's locked. We need more people. We can't handle it on our own. They come across something strange. What could it be? As if reading my mind, no, I added. The door to get here is lab grade, but it's completely covered in bright tape. That angel was in a coat and medical pants. Looking down one more time, I picked up the radio to inform the squad about the immortal, but then hesitated. Explaining everything will take too long. It'll be easier to tell them in person. I ran into Jan and Dimitri in the first floor corridor. Take a flashlight. We'll go first, but stay alert just in case. There might be holes in the floor and exposed wires. Above of you, be careful. We walked on. The silence was sometimes broken by short remarks from the general and brief replies from Jan. They were all assembled here, right? Except for the immortals and Anna. They're helping repair the damaged wing, and Anna's still unwell. From what Dimitri said, it was clear she was convalescing in the woman's dorm, trying to recover. Walking forward, I looked around. The gloom of the abandoned corridor was oppressive. Open doors leading to the black voids of old labs were unnerving. Every time Dimitri shone the light in their direction, I instinctively turned away, afraid of seeing something. Large bundles of wires hung down from the ceiling.
"It'd be more useful if you were working on the bug right now."
The general said it quietly without anger. I thought there wouldn't be a better time to tell him the story. I saw another immortal. Not one from the squad, a new one. I ran into him in my old room.
"What?"
The general stopped in surprise. Turning, he shone his light in my face. Alright, away with the flashlight. I squinted and stepped closer, aligning myself with him and Jan.
Immortals usually prefer to be on their own. Why would one of them appear at the base?
It was an angel. He looked young with very light hair. All he had on was a coat and blue hospital pants. He acted strangely. He was like the other immortal. Honestly, he acted strangely, as if he didn't fully understand where he was or what was happening around him. After a series of questions, I realized the squad knew nothing about the unknown immortal. The information about a second male angel was just as news to them.
"And he just disappeared. That's bad. Something's going on and we don't know what. Is he dangerous or not? And why was he here?"
The general pressed his lips together. He thought for a minute, then looked back at me.
"Has CAIN appeared?"
Nope. So no one knows where that bitch is. Great. The squad's attitude toward CAIN was ambiguous, and I didn't want to make things more complicated for him. Taking a step forward, I replied calmly. I saw him recently. The general shook his head, showing dissatisfaction with the immortal's behavior.
"Something's wrong with him lately."
Our attention shifted to flashlight shining in our faces from the other end of the corridor.
"General? Are the others with you? Let's go. It's right here."
In front of us was a door clumsily concealed with pieces from the destroyed building. It wasn't closed. Something was preventing it from shutting properly. When the lower part of the debris was removed, Noah bent down to retrieve something. As soon as he looked at what he'd found, he frowned.
"This is my knife, the one I gave to Lester. He might have dropped it here while getting in here. Or he took it out because he sensed danger nearby."
At hearing the second possibility, Noah adjusted his glasses and swallowed hard. Ooh, yo, the shipping. He pushed the old door open and we stepped inside, lighting up the room.
"Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Oh my god, Lester's in there. Well, in a tall, broken hydro chamber was Lester. All his clothes were stained with blood. Yeah, he dead. I'm just gonna say what I think. Oh my god, poor him. He did not deserve that. I'm pretty sure that bitch did something. I keep on forgetting her fucking name, no matter. You all know what I'm talking about. Like the woman that actually found him and said that he's not getting out of there. Could that be a thing? Because this angel was in that fucking tube or whatever. Could it be that immortal that was in that tube actually drained Lester of his vital energy, and that's why this man is dead now? Or she just unleashed the immortal, because technically he is splashed with blood, and when you drain someone of their vital energy, they don't really spill blood. Seeing this, Greg and Noah rushed to him. He did. He alive?
"He's unconscious but alive. He has a wound on the back of his head."
Frowning, the general swept his light across every corner of the room.
"This doesn't look like the other abandoned labs. Someone set this place up in secret."
With our help, Greg and Noah pulled Lester out of the hydro chamber.
"It seems like there was some activity in here recently. Somewhere is air dust free, unlike the others. That means they were in use. Lester was here to find out who was drawing power from our network. Maybe he found them and they attacked him. All the paperwork has been cleared out. It's empty. There's nothing here to identify what exactly they were doing."
We need to take a closer look. I'll go and check out what seems the most promising, the lab chair with straps. Moving to the old chair and the blood-stained straps hanging from it, I accidentally bumped it its side and it shifted. There was something underneath. I picked up a dark feather and waved it, catching the other's attention. Found it under the chair.
Long, like one from an immortal.
The general's face grew grim. Rubbing his temple, he surveyed the room again.
Everything looks just like that lab at Siberia. Get wary, he needs help.
Oh, this man. Carrying Lester on his back, Rex stood at the exit.
Just take him to the medical unit. Just try to do it quietly and get the doctor. The one who was with us in New York. Don't trust the others. I'll go too. I'll guide you.
When Noah, Jan, and Greg disappeared into the dark corridor, the general turned to me.
The wires were cut recently and there is no dust on the keyboard. Someone was using this computer. There might be something left on it. I'll try to splice the wires and reconnect them. Maybe it'll work. Watch the screen, see if power is up. And try to remember everything you see.
I nodded and approached the monitor. The general took out a knife and grabbed the blade between his teeth as he reached for the bundles of wires and began cutting through the black casing to get the aluminum inside. Several tense minutes passed. Setting my backpack beside me on the desk, I opened my notebook, hoping to record anything in time. The screen suddenly flickered.
Did it work?
I think so.
I can't let go of the wires, so write down what you see. What's on it?
It's asking for a password. It needs a 4-character combination.
Try something simple.
He's like, they ain't that intelligent. I entered several combinations, but they were rejected. There was a new access code at the Science Center in New York. If the base was sponsored by the Order, perhaps the system is shared and it'll work. Not counting on getting lucky, I quickly flipped to the right page and entered the code I had recorded earlier. A green check mark appeared next to the numbers, and then the desktop opened before me. Several folders were already open on it. There are several documents here. They just look like reports with some graphs. A lot of EKGs or something like that. They all have the Siberia logo on them. I scrolled up and saw the name of the project on the open folder. Project Atom. The monitor started flickering and the wires Dimitri was holding began to spark. The screen went black. Well, we recorded the code and were able to log into the system, giving the squad an accurate lead.
Let's go. We need to talk to the others. Don't tell anyone else about this place.
Dimitri picked up the feather and his flashlight from the chair. He waited for me to close my backpack and move ahead before following me out. Will we look at that? He said, you go first and I will be watching your back. After gathering the squad via radio, Dimitri directed us to the barracks behind the base. We needed to have a conversation away from prying eyes. To make our abrupt departure seem less suspicious, the general ordered us to go clean the area. It had gotten colder outside, so before going, I asked for something warm to wear. Well, now let's go with this. I like the red one. Headgear. They be doing it would match, wouldn't it? But no. This is better, right? I walked out to the yard a little later than the others. Greg and Jan were already speaking with the general.
The doctor's examining Lester now. It's not clear why, but he hasn't regained consciousness yet.
Oh, could my theory actually be right? He drained him of his vital energy?
One of us will return to him right after the meeting. Maybe by then we'll learn something new.
Or he did. Did you finally find Lester?
And why are we meeting in the stump? Are we hiding for someone?
Yes. Dimitri briefly filled the mortals in on the situation.
In that room with the hydro chamber, they were working on Project Atom. Adam? I was overseen by Donovan.
Yep.
And my sister.
Donovan, now, that brat. The others looked at Greg in surprise.
Are you sure? It's the confirmation. Siberia had many projects. The computer in the library somehow got connected to the network. I think it happened when it's linked to the one downstairs in the lab. Based on the data, Greg's sister really was working on Adam. The professor was the one who insisted on closing off the abandoned labs, even when it didn't make sense to do so. Now it's clear what the real reason was. Did you learn anything else then?
Adam is a project for studying immortals. I think its goal is to take them apart piece by piece. Thank you very much, saying this in front of two immortals. No, not a toward a knee and Palin. The angel flinched as the demon clicked his tongue in disgust. I mean, I'm not an immortal, but honestly, I would feel enraged for them. Like, that's inhuman. That's the exact same BS. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't. We do remember what Dimitri did to us, and now this man actually being like, yeah, I'm not fine with them actually taking apart immortals brick by brick, yet they were actually willing to use drugs on us to interrogate us. Y'all, hypocrites.
The Bice couldn't have developed the healing serum without testing it on someone. If the professor got rid of Lester, then he's in danger here. Her eyes and ears are everywhere. We must watch over him and not leave him alone.
Isn't he yet alone? The general pulled a dark feather from his pocket.
Well, in here, take a look. We found this in the abandoned lab. Is it familiar to you?
Don't they all have the same wings? Like, seeing the discovery pylon rush to the general and snatch it greedily from his hands. Oh no. Yeah, you shouldn't have given it to him. Ada, yeah.
Ada, this is Ada's feather. Ada did get here.
Oh god. Oh god. The others exchanged glances. The chair where the demoness feather had been found looked like a torture device. Considering Donovan's project, it wasn't hard to connect the dots. Yeah. He's gonna kill her.
Who's Ada?
Jan. An immortal like us, only younger. Oh god, younger? But how younger are we talking about? Because they are immortals, like they get ancient old. Donovan said she didn't return from a mission. No, she returned from a mission alright, like she actually was experimenting on her. The demon suddenly clenched his fist. Gloomy, he struck the barrack wall, leaving a dent. Now he realized what happened. Flames of energy were starting to dance around his hands, but Aeneas stopped him just in time.
You promised. Don't act like a hysterical child.
No, honestly, I get him. I would be on his board. Like, the fuck? Like, imagine. Like, I'm not saying that experimenting on older angels is alright, but like, imagine 4 years old and they start to actually take you apart brick by brick. I just think maybe it's just because I'm very defensive. Like, I feel if someone is younger than you, then you have like the obligation, especially if you take them in and whatever, to look after them and to protect them. That's like your job then. And that bitch actually taking them in order like to rip them apart. No.
Ada might still be alive.
Baby. She sure as hell is not alive. And if she is alive, she's in pretty rough shape and traumatized for eternity.
They might be lying to us, don't you understand?
Alan looked at Annie almost pleadingly, but she didn't flinch. Everything about her showed that she thought the demon's behavior was foolish. Not the angel telling the demon he dumb.
Is there any life in you at all? Or are you just one big block of ice?
Ooh! I love that they are just showing the parallels, though. Back in the day, I said that I hated when they like gave off this hypostasis that the angels are the pure-hearted ones and the demons are like the little bitches. But the only reason that they are viewed as the bitches is because they actually understand the bigger picture and they understand the meaning of a necessary evil. And angels don't. They prefer not to get their hands dirty, as in the angels, because they view it as morally wrong, even though they know that this would be the only way to actually get rid of the source of the problem, and they let demons do it, and then the demons have to actually take the shit from the angels for actually committing an atrocity that both parties knew was needed.
Do not care about that at all. There's nothing to inside you.
Anya shook her head in disappointment. The squad silently watched him, not daring to interfere with the argument. Balin turned away, looking down at the floor. He muttered grimly,
What else could I expect from someone whose only goal in life was to secure a cushy spot in the Citadel?
Oh my god! And you recalled from him as if you were suddenly a stranger.
Incredible. You haven't changed a bit.
Oh my god. Boys and girls, like, just kiss and make up. I can't. Like, they need to have some couples therapy session.
Still the same deceitful, impulsive person. You justify your weakness with emotions and lie to win all this over. I thought you were serious when you said you wanted to change. I thought the professor's words had an effect on you, and that you could be relied on now. But all this time you've been thinking about me the same way you always have.
Oh my god. Nah. Girl, this is literally you allowing your feelings to fly. Like, Pylon just showed that his love for Ada hasn't changed. And that his first priority will always be her, as in that he's still in love with her. And Ania falling for Pylon, or always having had romantic feelings for Pylon. I'm not saying that she enjoyed that Ada was missing or whatever, but deep down, because she is in love, she actually had hope that now that Ada's out of the picture, that she could have her opportunity with Pylon, because they were also extremely close after Ada was gone and whatever, like. And her now actually seeing that this man's first priority will always be Ada, she's like, you have been thinking about me the exact same way you always have. Like, you will never view me as anything but a little sister or whatever.
As if you haven't.
The Immortals moved to opposite sides of the room. My goodness gracious. Everyone was surprised when Greg unexpectedly stepped between them.
Okay, you've tried to insult and made all of us nervous. A fight often rests on your relationship. If you have a shared past, don't you want to tell us about it? We have a right to know what's going on.
Gazing down at Greg, Pylon nearly spat.
Why, stay out of it. If you're so cool, go back to heaven. Why are you hanging around humans?
Ooh. It wouldn't hurt for all of us to share more about ourselves. We know almost nothing about Ania and Pylon.
There's nothing in our past that would interest you. You wouldn't understand half of what we told you anyway. Dress a spell on this kind of knowledge.
Eyeing the demon hunter, Ania arched a brow. He was hardly in a position to reproach her. I want to learn the story of Ania, Pylon, and Ada. This is actually a thing.
Alright, y'all, I'm warning you. I seriously hope that you can't actually hear it, but there is something like at the back of my throat. I can't help it. It's been 2 days already. I had to stop because my throat was hurting so badly. Like, I feel like I'm fine, but because I know, or more like because this thing is like getting on my goddamn nerves, I actually am fearing that you guys can hear it. So sorry, by the way, if you can, but let's get into their backstory. Not them actually doing this like this was some sort of like threesome situation between them. You won't tell us about yourselves. Do you despise us? Do you see no point in interacting with humans? Honestly, I wouldn't see any reason to interact with the general. Again, like, I feel like I need to cut him some slack, but what they did was inhumane and I can't forgive that. So it will always be at the back of my head. Like, I will be always bitter and petty when it comes to that. Yes, Pylon. Honestly, this is the kind of brutal answer that already makes you laugh when you hear it. Period. Like, Ania has seen the light. She has seen the light. But to be quite honest, considering the fact that he has to wrap his head around the fact that technically the love of his life is dead, like she has been mutilated, I understand why he's bitter and why he wouldn't want to talk about this specific topic. Because if you ask me, we have seen moments where this man is actually slowly opening up to humanity. So we can't actually say, yeah, he's not doing shit, because that's a lie. No.
Here we go.
Shut the fuck up, Pylon, and let me see the view. I paid.
We don't share our personal stuff with just anyone. Haven't we long since passed the stage of our relationship? To us, your time is a mere blink of an eye.
Technically it is because they're immortal.
Ask your pestilent friend if she gives us that serum out of great friendship, or because we work like hell for helpless humans.
Period, though. I'm sorry. He right. Like, Anna and the general are like these two little bitches in the back. Like, they are bitter. Okay? I'm still bitter. I'm salty as fuck when it comes to these two. Because they haven't done shit in order to prove that they are actually not willing to have us at our throats again when something bad should happen. So I blame them. For no matter what. Because it is the truth. Like, especially Anna, the last few episodes, we had something in our backpack. And instead of leaving it be, Anna felt the need to stick her nose where it didn't belong, and she took it out. Who told you to put your nose into my fucking business? That liquid was in my backpack because I found it, perhaps. Who told you to get it out? Like, but we are the ones ruining things. Again, I'm with Pylon on this one because it is the truth. Like, they have to work so hard in order for them to get the fucking serum. Like, for these humans, it may be, yeah, you want something from us and we want protection from you. So it's like a give and take kind of deal. Because if you actually put in the perspective that we are friends and that's why you want to know shit about me, then you should be giving me stuff out of your own accord. And not because I have to work my ass off for this. The general silently observed what was happening. Crossing his arms over his chest, he waited for Greg to say what he himself couldn't. Watch my tongue? No, shut the fuck up, bitch. No, I'm mad at CAIN again. No, honestly, it's the truth. I would be the exact same way. Like, you want my fucking protection. And I wanted that fucking serum. But don't you be coming to me saying that we are friends, and that's why I should be a little more open with you. You have your shit, I have mine. Like, this is a beneficial agreement that we are having. You want my protection, and I want that fucking serum that your friend is making. Like, this is a beneficial agreement. Friendship has nothing to do with anything that's going on right now. Not you be coming here, watch your tone. Why? Who are you to say shit? Again, they have so much more fucking strength than we do.
Watch your tongue. Maybe you've forgotten, but creatures like you had a hand in wiping humanity off the face of the earth.
So what? So just because my forefather did something, I have to pay for it. Again, this is just like what happened with Germany. Like, Germany's had to pay off still generations after what Hitler did. And I'm technically actually putting myself in harm's way too because I'm partially German, but still, like, leave me be. Like, did I ask to be born? I could bring such a stupid argument. Did I ask to be born? Did I ask to be born half German? Did I? Why is everyone singling me out? Like, this is like the main point what I'm trying to say. Don't be coming to me. Like, my race, what I do for a living has nothing to do with my personality.
There are no good or bad ones among us. We're just trying to get along and treat each other as more than livestock.
Are you sure about that? And yes, stare directly at Pylon. The demon met her gaze and shrugged and rolled his eyes. Me. Absolutely me.
Ridiculous.
Me. Absolutely me. I'm a Pilot side. Like, fuck this. He exhaled and lowered his head, hiding his eyes from us. After a pause, he continued speaking, his voice subdued.
My family was something like farmers. We lived in the far lands. In that place, immortals were usually born with elemental powers or abilities to heal and revive plants.
Ooh, can he do that? Oh.
But I get energy for a region that's particularly useless.
Energy, as in, I don't know what in general the angels or more like immortals had in Heaven's Secret. Like, we remember like the first season where everyone was like put into groups and we had to open these eggs and we had to focus on the energy within us in order to open that fucking egg. Something like that.
The population that was always poor, so my family was stuck somewhere at the edge of poverty. Damn. I had two younger sisters. Both of them were fascinated by humans. Everyone there was like that. Sorry. But I didn't share the desire to play like we are at the I went to school because I didn't want to rot away in that backwater place. I thought that with my abilities I should be able to get good grades, find influential friends, stand out.
Palin shook his head and looked at us. What did I get in return?
Returns like me there, just ordinary demons, no match for the elite.
Palin began speaking in a high mocking voice. Honestly, me. Ooh! I'm so fucking sorry. Yes! Pylon, Lucifer, and Dino. I'm in love. In love. Thank you. I really hope that Heaven's Secret 3's come in. I really am, because if not, I'm gonna cry.
Lucifer this, Lucifer that, Dino, Dino, Dino.
That's how Lucifer and Dino felt in first season and most part of the second season, especially if you played them both in the first book. Oh my god. Like, let's be honest, they were never really that close, but they found some solid ground at the end of the day. We could especially see it in Heaven's Secret too. I can't. Dino this, Dino that. I'm weak.
And no one cared. They'd already graduated. All conversations were about the same thing.
Is that why you stopped taking school seriously? And started hanging out with others who didn't care about it either?
What else was there to do? Hunch over the books like you? I wasn't a capable student.
Ooh. Pylon looked away. I'm sensing some insecurities. Like, he already felt like a nobody because he was, like, born in, like, this a farmer, let's just say, surroundings. And everyone had, like, specific type of elemental powers, and he only got energy, which is, like, in his eyes, the average that you get when you are born as an angel or a demon. So he thought that moving away and meeting up with others like him, he could stand out. But instead, he got met with other people that had the exact same capability. And because they have been studying hard, they were even more competent. So all the attention was on them again. So he again felt like an outsider.
You've always been smarter than the most. Don't judge others by your own standard. Not everyone's like you.
Aw, that's cute. The angel's eyes widened in surprise. She faltered and fell silent. Of course, because I'm pretty sure this is not a normal conversation they would be having. We kind of forced it out of them to talk about their past. Oh, period. You go and tell them.
Then Blake and everyone adjusted to the new circumstances. I barely remember what happened after that. It feels like all the days blended into one. When we were led to the slaughter, I thought I could protect my sisters. They died. Only later did I learn that my family's home had been destroyed. Everyone was dead.
The demon fell silent. It seemed he regretted not dying on the battlefield alongside his loved ones. I mean, imagine, like, you were born in, like, a family of 50. 49 are dead. You're the only one surviving. Especially if you don't feel that you ever had a different home or anyone else that you could consider family. Of course he would regret not dying with them, because he's like, could have had the opportunity to die and, like, not have to worry that much about all this shit anymore. And instead, I'm still here. Still suffering, still asking myself what the main course of my existence is.
Here on Earth, I met Ada. I saved her from some spawn. It turned out she was already tied to the base and I had nowhere to go.
Palin fell silent, and Nia cast a sad glance at the demon before adopting a cold, composed expression and looking calmly at the squad. She doesn't want to show weakness. Babe, but we already noticed.
I grew up in the capital. I didn't know my father. I only had my mother. She served in the citadel all her life.
Who was she? As she talked about her one close relative, she averted her gaze.
She called herself a fetch and carry woman, always stuck in the same low-ranking position. My mother started teaching me even before I was allowed to enroll in the academy, so when classes began, things were easier for me than for others. She was happy to see my progress, and over time I didn't even notice how it became normal for me to spend all my free time studying.
I used to do that. It all became different when I went to university because I completed elementary school, then high school, and then I got sick. And then 3 years later, I went to university. So I had a different view on everything, especially on life. And I saw university years as a way of me finally being capable, like, to concentrate myself on something specific besides the negativity that was rummaging in my head, not allowing me to have a good night's sleep, and finding my way back to life.
Others had already split into social groups, and it was hard to suddenly make a change. I tried.
Anya glanced at Pylon and then turned away.
But I always returned to the role I'd been given, and eventually I accepted it. After all, it wasn't so bad. I wanted to stand out and get a good position in the Citadel. Some might think it was not the loftiest goal, but I didn't care. Not everyone can afford to live as they want.
Me. She paused for a moment.
Pylon and I knew each other, though we hardly spoke. Once we were sent on a joint mission, but we argued and stopped acknowledging each other. During the battle with the Mother of Life, all Citadel workers were sent into combat. My mother was one of the first to die. Staying in heaven was no longer safe. I had to come down to Earth in search of refuge, and that's where I ran into Pylon.
Honestly, I think that's interesting. For those that have played, of course, Heaven's Secret 2, everyone has been, like, catapulted into a different dimension. Everyone. I don't know what happened to Christopher, but especially we saw what happened to the love interests. Like, War and Astaroth, Hunger, Lucifer, Dino, Mimi. They were all transported into different dimensions. Like, of course, Malbonte too, but Malbonte was my man, so he was with me. But again, we were all teleported into different dimensions. I actually assumed that's what happened with everyone else too. Like, all this light, or more like all these, can we call them portals? All of a sudden, like, showing up after Sifa Malam said, kill them all. And literally sucking in all the immortals and then taking them to different spots all over the world, all over the cosmos. I thought that's what happened to everyone, but apparently some were capable to leave on their own free accord.
I didn't plan to stay, but I knew no one else beside him. And then he and Ada seemed to have found their place, at least for a while, so I joined them.
Oh.
Oh, nonsense. We didn't argue during the mission. You just turned away and took off, then you started treating me with disdain.
Why do I have the feeling that he didn't like that?
Really? You don't remember saying that girl shouldn't study? And that she should hang out with her boyfriend instead?
And that offended you? I'm fucking weak. Kiss and make up. Kiss and make up. I said the exact same thing about Lester and Nick. Or what was his name? You know who I mean. Like, just kiss and make up at this point. Because he's like, that offended you, ma'am?
Not that. What you said afterward.
Yeah. Telenovela?
You said otherwise she'll end up just like you. You're the one who said you regretted wasting your time on studying. That's just an attempt to escape from your problems. I see, Pylon.
And you're so good at expressing your feelings, especially your discontent. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I feel like all of this, like, how can I say this nicely? Everyone should just fuck off and allow Ania and Pylon to talk, because I feel like this is a lot deeper than both of them care to admit. I feel like Pylon deep down also had these negative feelings, or more like this regret inside of him, but because he is the person to not ever dwell on feelings and he's not that emotional type, he was in a state of denial, or more like in a state of oblivion, where he didn't really acknowledge that he felt a specific type of way. Meanwhile, Ania, she has this cold facade, but she is connected to her emotions, aka she's emotional. She's emotionally vulnerable. So she actually kept on treating him with her emotions, as in she was answering him with the sadness, or more like with the pain that was rummaging inside of her heart. And she wasn't capable to actually get clarity. And now actually all of this being told in the open, it's kind of like forcing Pylon to confront his past with her. Because now the tables, all the cards are on the table. Like, they can't move away. I mean, he could avoid the conversation, but considering the fact that he's answering, it's because deep down he actually wants to get clarity with her.
But you don't think about other people's feelings. You just ramble without any regret.
No, I don't think so. The demon shrugged and turned away. He clenched a dark feather in his hand. What did I say?
I used to say the same things.
What did I say? She's the second option. I feel bad for her. Raising the feather above his head, Pylon looked at us.
Maybe she's still alive. I'll find her.
Again. She may be alive, but that don't mean that she's in a good state. Judging by the other's faces, Pylon was the only one who believed that. The general was about to say something when Donovan's irritated voice suddenly came through the radio.
Dimitri, did you fall off the face of the earth? Where are you? We need immortals here. Bring your squad to the warehouse. The grinders have collapsed.
What did I say? Using! After responding to Donovan, the general looked at us.
Until Lester talks, act normal. We need more information. By the way, it's getting cold at the base. You should take care of yourselves. We've moved most of the supplies to the barracks, but if you need anything stopped by Anna's room in the women's quarters, she'll help.
Anna isn't here right now. She hasn't been with us since last night.
Isn't she sick and resting?
No, her bed is empty, even now. Wasn't she there in the beginning of the episode? Or did I imagine this? Dimitri fell into thought. We saw her break down because she injected herself with something.
Maybe she went to her room. She used to disappear there often. Simona, check on Anna.
Of course.
I'll explain where to go. Let me know how she's doing, then get back to the book. We need to make sure no one else from the squad disappears.
Y'all, Dimitri. Again, I will try not to immediately spit in his face when I see him. But I just want to let you all know I'm not over it. I won't be capable to forgive it. I want to, try to focus on this man's personality right now and on his change. But I can't wrap my head around the fact how he behaved before. Anna's old room was in the main building. After taking 2 wrong turns down some long corridors, I finally arrived at an unremarkable door with a "Do Not Enter" sign on it. Pushing on the handle, I stepped inside. The small room was covered in papers and sketches of the human body. A human brain in cross-section, the structure of a skull, a diagram of the body's arteries and veins. Her room looks like the home of a mad scientist. Walking a bit farther, I noticed Anna lying on the floor. Anna? I moved her to the bed, covered her with a blanket, and pulled out the transceiver. Anna was mumbling something incoherent.
Simona, I'll sleep a little more. I was writing all morning today. She seems to have a fever.
Let her sleep it off. If she can't walk, just leave her. I'll carry her myself later.
After answering a few more of the general's questions, I ended the connection. She said she was writing something. Her thoughts? Research? Approaching her desk, I began examining the scattered papers. The cultist room. It's in almost all her recent notes. It seems she's discovered something about the infection. Of course, after injecting herself. Moving closer to the bed, I gently touched her shoulder.
Anna, how are you?
She groaned drowsily, murmuring something indistinct. It's unlikely I'll be able to ask her about the Coldstrom now. I was about to leave Anna alone when she mumbled suddenly.
I'm so hungry. My head is splitting from anger.
I'll bring her something first, then ask my questions. Donovan said she was looking for medicine, and I must have something around here. From Anna's cabinet, I took 2 small vials of clear liquid, which smelled faintly of alcohol, and went to the professor. Her office was on the same floor as Anna's. Finding it was difficult. It was behind the most pompous door in the base. The professor, who was sitting here with her back to the entrance, slowly turned around as the hinges creaked. Exhaling a stream of smoke, she squinted.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
I want to trade medicine for food.
Do you think I wouldn't recognize vials that I once handled? Does Anna even know she's been robbed?
No. But stealing doesn't break any rules.
Is that so? That's what you think. I told you not to cause me problems with your squabbles.
There's no squabbling. Will you give me some?
Oh well, she's earned it.
She stood and approached me, clamming her cigarette in the corner of her mouth. She took the alcohol from me. Her gaze swept over my hand, and Donovan suddenly grabbed my thumb, bringing the scar close to her eye. What does everyone... Oh, y'all, I fucking can't. Like, this is literally like you having a big-ass scar on your arm, and everyone immediately wants to see it. She examined the small red mark where I had once pricked it with a syringe. Then she let go of my hand almost dismissively, pushing it away. Retrieving 2 bags and a few items from under a desk, she handed them to me.
Here's clean clothing and food. You can go, Simona.
As I turned and took a step, Donovan spoke in a quieter, more condescending tone.
But perhaps we'll have a conversation soon.
Of course. Pretending not to hear her, I left the office. You sure as hell can watch me leave, babe. Upon returning, I found Anna sitting on the bed. She was wrapped in a blanket, staring aimlessly at the wall. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
You said you were hungry. Here, take this. Seeing the food, she suppressed a gag reflex.
Thank you.
Is something wrong? Then you want to eat?
I just don't feel well. But I'll eat anything or I'll lose all my strength, so don't mind me. What's that?
Unwrapping the clothes, I found 2 identical sets. One was apparently for me, the other for Anna. Can I change here?
Yes, I can use the closet door for privacy.
Alright. Nah, you know what? Who cares? Who cares? That's a nice outfit. Honestly, can I say that the short hair right now slacks? After changing, I sat next to Anna and waited for her to finish eating.
What about you?
Looking at the torn ration package I took. Oh, cookies and honey. Rice and vegetables. You would have to go with that one, but I'm gonna go with cookies because right now I want something sweet. Thank you. Her hands were trembling slightly. Eyeing them closely, I suddenly noticed a mark on her wrist, the same as the one on my scar. Does Anna need injections? Maybe she's been administering some medicine. Deciding not to delay my question any longer, I asked, "What is the colostrum? All your papers are about it." Breaking her stale gray bread into pieces, Anna answered lifelessly.
There was a scientist who studied a known part of the brain. He was convinced that it housed the human soul, the consciousness. That part is called the colostrum. Back then, no one took these talks seriously, but now it's different. The Phantagon seeks out the human brain and somehow penetrates our thoughts and fears. The colostrum is the only thing that fits this theory.
But to know for sure, you'd have to test it somehow.
That's impossible. We don't have the equipment to monitor processes in the brain. Someone who understands themselves well and the mechanism and the mechanics of infection could help. Someone who knows what's happening to them, who understands the terminology. Or can you find such a person? And no one would agree to this voluntarily.
Except someone as desperate as you. Applause. Applause for the queen. Like, I love her right now. Though the last thought wasn't intended as a joke, it didn't feel like one. I kept my eyes on Anna's trembling hands. It was too soon to draw conclusions, but the answer seemed obvious. Did she inject herself with the Phantagon? Yep. She wanted to find out where the black blood goes and what it's capable of. I'll need to confirm this. Maybe I'm wrong. No, you ain't. Silently finishing her meal, Anna collapsed on the bed and pulled the blanket over her head.
Are the others managing?
Yes, everything's fine.
I see. I like to rest a little longer.
All right, I'll go. Before leaving, I glanced at her desk again. Dimitri, 0%, 0% infection, blood is clean, no deviations from the norm. Antidote medicine, reverse the Phantagon, small doses, presumably non-lethal. It looks like Anna's finally closing in on an answer. Closing the door behind me, I headed to my new room. But even if we find the cause of the infection, it won't solve all the problems. Just like the book's translation, it doesn't provide answers, only hints. How can I find out where I spent those 3 years? And how are Sifa, the Book of the Apocalypse, the infection, the order, my scar, and Baal related? The more I delved into thoughts about how everything was connected, the more nervous I became. First I quickened my pace, then I started running, and soon I was flying down the staircases and through corridors as if my life depended on it. I needed to understand. I had to. Bursting into my room, I turned on the light and pulled out my notebook. In the rush, some pages scattered to the floor. Deciding it would be easier to see the full picture that way, I didn't pick them up. I placed the book in the center of the papers, my notebook slightly below. My gaze passed over Baal's sigil, and once again a shiver ran through me, like it had early in the morning.
No, not now. Focus. You're alone here.
Oh, wow. Well, look at this. Oh my god. Donovan was acting strange. The professor isn't fighting for humanity's interest. She's pushing her own agenda. Only a monster like her is capable of thwarting her. I wasn't sure I was ready to compete with her. I want to understand what happened to me and finish translating the book, which will determine my fate. Donovan, however, thinks bigger and aims higher. She isn't satisfied with just saving herself. She wants to save the world, to force it to live even against its will, to make it live out of spite. Donovan is using all humanity to express her disdain for the immortals. Not everyone would go so far. She's serious, and if I don't want to end up under her thumb, I need to anticipate her actions. To have at least once an ace up my sleeve. To know more than the others. I can't translate the book, doing it faster than planned, but not reveal the final text to the others. I'll copy down everything important for myself. We already lost a book once. Placing a sheet of paper over the book and slipping a flashlight under a page, I meticulously copied the pentagram and duplicated the already translated pages. I need to finish this last part. If I skip the inventory section, which is almost useless, there are only a few pages left. But first I need to understand who wants what. Rebuild the chain. Let's start at the beginning. Humans didn't know about immortals before, but suspected their existence. Franco's religion, it wasn't baseless. So does this mean humans and immortals knew about each other? At the very least, they had suspicions. I needed to clarify that detail with Ania. I could have gone to the woman's dorm, but I didn't want to get distracted. Turning, I found my backpack and pulled it toward me. I took out the radio and pressed a button, unconcerned if anyone else heard our conversation. Ania, taking into account the entirety of human history, did immortals ever visit humans? There was silence on the other end. I thought she wouldn't respond, but then I heard her tired voice. They did. Why? Can you tell me more? I need it for the translation. It almost happened when your civilization were just beginning to develop, and then it gradually stopped. When? How? Why? I don't know everything. For one, what reached us in ancient books is somewhat distorted. The heavens have a long history, much of it lost to time. When my mother was teaching me from home, she found some books, but they, as you'd say, belonged in the fairy tale section. But if you assume they might have once been a reality then. A long time ago, the development of humanity was overseen by the primordial angel and demon. Then for some reason they disappeared. Maybe that was when humans encountered immortals for the first time. When the academy was established, the function was passed on to students. In lessons, angels and demons were given tasks. We had to guide humans towards solutions, essentially doing what the primordials did. I don't know what else I can tell you. Ask something specific. Thank you, that's enough for now. Placing the radio beside me, I looked at my notes again. The primordial demon. Baal, the father of lies and of the first Satan. Could he be the primordial demon, given the cold calls out to him? Humans couldn't have taken his image and name out of thin air. They must have seen him, realize his power, and then began worshipping him. Oh my god. I feel like us coming closer to actually analyzing or more like translating the book will mean that we're actually getting closer to being possessed, sort of. Like that we're slowly kind of like I don't want to say like this, but you know, exorcism, like what actually speaking out an exorcism does to someone that is possessed. Like imagine us translating the book is slowly making us become possessed by that demon. That's why the more we read, the more answers we get, the more this sign that we're seeing right now on the screen is happening to us. The lamp flickered. Uneasiness crept over me again. Darkness from the corners of the room slowly crept closer. My breathing quickened and I clutched my chest, trying to calm my pounding heart. Oh my god. Path of the Devil's Whisper. Oh my god. Wasn't that Kira? Poor thing. Huh? I lifted my head, but no one was there. Now we're hearing the voices. Placing my papers on the desk and gathering everything into the notebook, I tidied up the room. I sat at the desk to continue working, but the fear still lingered. With my nerves completely frayed, I picked up the radio again and thought of CAIN. I wish he was here right now. The fuck, where is he? Putting the radio aside, I sat down to work on the book. Just then, a heavy wind struck the window. One of the panes opened and something small and bright flew into the room. Bending down under the desk, I picked up a feather and then shuddered. A silhouette appeared in the shadow of the room. CAIN? Is that you? Getting up from my chair, I approached the immortal. He stood there shrouded in darkness, silently staring at the wall. His gaze was empty. Oh no. Oh no. That bitch broke him. That bitch made him become numb. Standing quietly beside him, I rested my forehead on his chest. I took his long, cold fingers and traced the knuckles, comparing them to mine. We stood in silence for a while. His rapid heartbeat gradually slowed to normal. Of course, because he feels safe around us. And that little bitch actually made him fear for his life. Oh no. Withdrawing his hand, he lifted my face with it holding my chin. I don't know if I want to smack him or kiss him, or more like hug him right now. Sounds came from the radio on the desk.
Simona, that something happened. There are reports of loud noise a few minutes ago.
Picking up the radio, I answered. Everything's fine. It was just the wind.
All right, over and out.
Again, cutting him some slack. Cute, actually. He was like there was a fucking wind. Like, are you good? Are you okay? Silence fell.
Are you lying for me?
I'm lying for us, bitch. Where did you disappear to? Where have you been all this time? What's going on? Could your brother still be alive?
It's getting harder for me to control the situation.
He sighed heavily. Exhausted, he took a step back and sat down on the bed before lying down.
It feels like one move or word and everything will fall apart. This fragile world. Or you.
I ran my fingers along his scar. You were with him, weren't you?
Yes.
We both remained silent, then CAIN quietly asked,
What do you think of me after all this?
I'm worried, again. A chill ran down my spine. I didn't want to hear anything else that could make me turn back before translating the book. I had no strength left for arguing, for eternal struggles, for seeking answers. I lay down beside him. I don't know. I just don't want to think about anything right now. Cupping his face in my hands, I turned his head toward me. He stretched his neck to kiss me.
Me neither. Just for a little while.
But this is not the right way to do it, bitches. But I understand, like, I would be doing the exact same thing. Like, first I would be kissing him, hugging him, like, that he makes me feel good, and then I'm gonna smack him silly. Like the fuck. CAIN's movements were jerky, rough. You're tense. He ran his fingers along my throat, then he moved his hand to the back of my head, tangling his fingers in my hair and pressed his face to mine. Our lips met, barely touching at first, and with increasing intensity, so much so that our teeth nearly clashed from sheer desire. CAIN squeezed my hand and my skin tingled. In response, I broke the kiss, bringing my mouth to his neck and nipping him. A breath escaped his lips, almost a moan. CAIN didn't resist. He seemed to enjoy it. Of course he would be. Who wouldn't enjoy it? Like when you're actually in a relationship finally, or you actually have admitted that you have feelings for each other, and then you're both allowing desire to like sink in. Like to know that the person in front of you desires you to that extent that they can't hold back the desire. Like that's a turn on. I bit down harder and watched him close his eyes in bliss. Of course. Again, I'm imagining the scene. What a hot makeout session. Then he ran his fingers through my hair again, pulling it slightly. He guided me, urging me on with a painful kiss. Easing up a bit, I nippled his skin a little higher. I leaned over him, my hair falling across his collarbone. CAIN gripped my hair more intensely. He swallowed hard, his Adam's apple rising and falling. Leaving small love bites on his skin, I reached his lips. CAIN opened his eyes. They burned scarlet.
Leave your mark on me forever. I want to see it and know that I'm yours.
What did I say? He's a simp? He's a wimp? But that's fine. Like, you're my wimp, I'm your wimp at this point. Honestly, like, imagine if he's even saying it in, like, a very, very deep voice, because that's, like, something that I noticed. Like, the more desire you feel, the more your throat becomes dry. And when your throat becomes dry, your voice becomes extremely low, as in some sort of growl. And when then the person that you like speaks in such a low voice, it's so sexy, it's so attractive.
And in return,
he sat up slightly and touched my neck with his fingers, then he pulled me closer. I felt hard teeth on my skin, pressing and biting in. His other hand slid down my waist and lower to my thighs, tracing their outline. He reached the inside. My skin burned. CAIN's fingers teased me through the fabric, mixing agony and desire. His bite deepened, but the sharp sensation was overtaken by waves of pleasure. I wanted him to be bolder, to stop holding back. Girl, if he actually allows himself to stop holding back, if he actually allows himself to run freely, you're dead. Keep in mind he's an immortal. Keep in mind he's an immortal and you're human. I grasped his ash-colored hair, pulling him closer, urging him to bite harder. He obeyed, and a deep sigh escaped my chest. CAIN's fingers moved with unwavering confidence, never slowing, making me feel like I could reach my peak just like that. The angel suddenly clenched his jaw, and I felt my skin sting painfully.
Sorry, I wanted to leave something on you.
He pulled away, and I touched a small wound with my fingertips. And what for?
You'll have a tiny scar.
Damn. A tiny scar from his butt. I can't. He licked it to stop the bleeding and gently kissed it. Can you... do scars happen like that, actually? Like just bleeding like that? Like... I don't think that's how scars come. Like, if it's a very deep wound, then of course... But imagine, like, he bit her neck deep like that, like we would be dead. And me? Can I hurt you? Didn't he say that he wants you to leave a mark on him?
I'm sure I'll find a way.
Don't talk to me. He smiled warmly and pulled me to him, resting back on the pillow. We lay there in silence for a few minutes. Soon my eyes began to close, but I sat up. I can't fall asleep. I still need to work. But he wants you to fall asleep.
I thought you'd be staying with me.
But you are here. Or you want to leave. The book won't wait.
Alright.
CAIN is so upset at me. CAIN let me go. He turned on his side, watching as I sat at the desk. Just then, I felt him touch my hand. His fingers intertwined with mine. Yo! I'm vulnerable. Closing his eyes, he settled comfortably on my bed. Period.
When you're done, come lie next to me.
Oh, always. Always. Okay. CAIN is obsessed with you. He's obsessed with me. I'm obsessed with him. 2 hours later, as the red moon cast its glow through the room, I still couldn't translate the second passage. The moment fear crept in, I faltered. The realization that I might not succeed left me paralyzed. I slammed my fist against the book, glaring at my notebook with frustration. Why won't it work? The text refused to yield. Running my fingers through my hair, I let out a quiet groan. I tore out my last few pages and flipped to a blank page starting over. After 2 more attempts, I finally felt like I was making progress. My thoughts were endlessly jumbled, leading me around in circles. The moon's crimson hue was beginning to fade from the room. The hours I had allotted myself for translating were nearly up. My body was exhausted, and I found myself translating in a dreamlike state. Strangely, the work suddenly became easier. Another couple of hours passed. I wrote the final translation in my notebook and leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. The second passage is about the location of the gate. The third is about how to enter it. The gate is located where it all began. I rubbed my eyes wearily. My thoughts were sluggish. Sleep was pulling me under. A bad feeling settled in my chest. Trying to understand its source, I sifted through every lingering thought. For some reason, my first thoughts weren't about the book, but about Baal. If he really was the demon who awakened the darkness in people, then where did he go? Something must have happened in the heavens back then. And just like humans do, they likely tried to cover it up for the sake of a happy future, while the true past remained only in fairy tales. But if Baal's symbol marks CAIN, if the cult calls out to him, if his sigil is written in the book, does that mean he will return? Or has he already? Or does someone want him to rise from the dead? Maybe he can't reach this world and is waiting for the moment when both immortals and humans are at their weakest, when God, or rather Sifa, no longer exists. Oh, God no longer exists. It's Sifa Malum now. Does he want to reclaim his former domination over humans? But for what purpose? A madman doesn't need a reason, babe. Does he wish to go back to performing his past functions? bringing out the bad in humans, but in the name of what? Sifa's missing, so what will that do for him? Sifa Malam! If he is behind the arrival of the abominations and the infected, if the cold and CAIN serve him, then is Baal the ultimate evil? And at the same time, the key to all our suffering? Did Sifa foresee Baal's betrayal long ago when he wrote the book and predicted these events? But why didn't he destroy him himself? And just God wouldn't take alive, but he could have punished him. Trapped him in some kind of prison, maybe he hoped for Baal's repentance. But at the same time, he must have considered the worst outcome. Still, why did Baal begin acting only now? Exhaling heavily, I tapped my fingers against the pentagram. There must have been a trigger, an event that turned both heaven and earth upside down. The book was given to the Order long ago, but it only became relevant now. And what about the Order itself? At first, humans didn't know about immortals, but then when Sifa sensed we might be in danger, he sent a few immortals to deliver the book to us and make us wait for the right moment. This mission could only be entrusted to humans. Immortals could have interfered or destroyed it. Those who received the book formed the Order of the Initiated. It was easier to monitor each other that way. Over time it changed. Then Romanov stole the book and tried to summon the dark forces he was drawn to. That was the beginning of the Order's fracture. A small radical faction appeared, the Cult. It worshipped dark forces called out to them. Then disaster struck and the apocalypse began. Baal, or those who wanted to summon him, became more active. They stopped waiting. Even CAIN joined in only then. But something else must have played a role. If I think about it, why could no one translate the book before me? Was it not the right time? And what about the chosen one? Were they waiting for his birth? Or is it the other way around and he only appeared because the world was collapsing and needed him? The most important thing is that someone sent CAIN and the Spawn after the book and the spear. Someone doesn't want humanity to have chance of salvation, doesn't want us to fight back. Someone needs control, power, and probably something else, something that would allow them to cross over here. If you think about it, Nick and the Cult tried to summon Baal, but all their attempts failed. I think CAIN knows why, but he already said he can tell me. A world abandoned by God, or rather by Sifa. What will happen to humanity? This will become an endless hell. How could he leave knowing what awaits us? It's not like he had a choice, babe. Like, Plague had no fucking chill. Is this his mercy, leaving behind a miserable book full of mysteries and confusion? I looked at the book and suddenly paused and thought, Audrey, how did the book get into her hands? And why was the spear in Estrella? Maybe the one haunting the Order and searching for something among them was from her circle? What happened to her? It felt like someone called out to me. Startled, I turned around. The man lying on the bed was watching me sleepily. I'll lie down now. What was that sound? Maybe I'm just overworked. I need to rest. Exhaling heavily, I closed the book and walked to the bed. I lay down at the very edge and pulled the blanket over myself. The gate is located where it all began. I had a vague idea of what that meant. The place where everything started, Siberia Base, and Rotkov. Oh my god, not the chains. I see that bitch in the bag. Oh, hold the fucking phone. What's that, Baal? Well, my apologies. I'm a little slow. But oh my god, y'all. I can't. But at least my son is back. My soulmate is finally back. And his brother needs to go. Like, apparently he's the one that keeps on summoning him. But we will see what next episode will be like. I hope you enjoyed this video with me. Tell me in the comments below what you think was best, and I will see you in another video. Bye.